My husband threw divorce papers at my pregnant belly, calling me a gold digger who trapped him. Little did he know, I was sitting on a $3 billion inheritance. When the truth came out 6 months later, he begged to come back. Here's how I made him pay. If you've ever been underestimated or betrayed by someone who should have protected you, this story will hit different. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, because by the end, you'll see exactly how karma works when you mess with the wrong woman. You know they say love is blind, but greed? Greed has 20/20 vision. My name is Alicia Thompson, and I'm about to tell you how the worst betrayal of my life became the best thing that ever happened to me. 3 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out. I was living in a $50 million penthouse in Manhattan, married to Brandon Mitchell, one of the youngest tech billionaires in America. $800 million, they said his company was worth. At 28, I was the marketing executive who helped launch 3 successful campaigns that year, and I genuinely believed we were partners in every sense of the word. Our marriage felt like something out of a fairy tale. Brandon would surprise me with weekend trips to Paris, and I'd surprise him by staying up all night helping him prepare for board meetings. We complemented each other perfectly, or so I thought. I came from humble beginnings in Detroit, where my mama worked double shifts as a nurse, and my daddy drove trucks cross-country. Brandon knew my story, knew how hard I worked to get where I was, and he always said he admired my drive. But looking back now, I realize he admired my drive the same way someone admires a racehorse. Useful when you need it, disposable when you don't. The pregnancy wasn't planned, but when I saw those 2 pink lines, my heart exploded with joy. I remember running to Brandon's home office, practically floating on air. He was on a video call, but I couldn't contain myself. I waited until he was done, then showed him the test with the biggest smile on my face. For a split second, I saw something beautiful in his eyes, but then it was gone, replaced by something I couldn't quite identify at the time. Now I know it was calculation. "That's great, baby," he said, but his voice sounded hollow. "We'll figure it out." Figure it out? I thought we'd be celebrating, planning, dreaming about our future together. Instead, Brandon became distant almost immediately. He started working later, traveling more, and when he was home, he seemed to look right through me. By my 4th month, the man who used to text me throughout the day was barely speaking to me at dinner. I'd catch him on mysterious phone calls that he'd end the moment I walked into the room. The penthouse that once felt like our sanctuary started feeling like a prison, with me as the only inmate. I knew something was wrong, but I kept telling myself it was just stress from work, from the pregnancy news, from the responsibility of becoming a father. I made excuses for him because I loved him, and because the alternative was too painful to consider. Then I saw her Instagram story. Brittany Coleman, 23 years old, blonde, size 2, with 2 million followers, and a lifestyle that screamed expensive maintenance. She was at the same restaurant where Brandon had told me he was having a business dinner. Same night, same time, same corner booth where we'd had our first anniversary dinner. My hands shook as I scrolled through her posts. There were subtle hints everywhere. A man's watch in the background of her mirror selfie, Brandon's watch. A champagne toast with someone whose hand looked awfully familiar. A bouquet of white roses, the exact same kind Brandon used to bring me, with a card that just said, "From your favorite distraction." That word, distraction. It felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I confronted him the next morning. No games, no beating around the bush. I showed him the photos, asked him directly if he was having an affair. Brandon looked me dead in the eye and didn't even try to lie. "Yeah, I am," he said, like he was admitting to having coffee instead of tea. And honestly, Alicia, it feels good to finally be with someone who wants me for me, not what I can provide. The audacity nearly knocked me over. Here I was, 6 months pregnant with his child, and he was talking about authenticity with some influencer whose entire life was built on pretense. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "I've never wanted you for your money, Brandon. I have my own career, my own income," He laughed, actually laughed. Come on, Alicia. You grew up in the hood. Your parents are working class. You think I don't know why you really married me. The pregnancy just proves it. You trapped me. Trapped him. Those words echoed in my head for days. This man who had pursued me relentlessly, who had proposed after dating for only 8 months, who had insisted on the prenup that limited me to $2 million if we divorced, was accusing me of trapping him. But the worst was yet to come. At 7 months pregnant, swollen feet, struggling to sleep, dealing with heartburn that felt like lava in my chest, Brandon walked into our bedroom with a manila envelope. He threw it on the bed like it was trash. "Divorce papers," he said without ceremony. "I've already signed them. Your lawyer can contact mine." I stared at him, this man I had loved completely, and asked the question that was burning in my throat. Why now? Why like this? "Because I'm tired of pretending," he said. "I'm tired of feeling guilty for being happy with Brittany. I'm tired of coming home to someone who represents everything I was trying to escape from. Everything he was trying to escape from. My blackness, my background, my very existence had become a burden to him." "You got your $2 million," he continued. "That's more money than your family has ever seen. Be grateful. Grateful. For being abandoned while pregnant. For being replaced by someone half my age. For being reduced to a charity case." The media had a field day when the story broke. Tech billionaire divorces. Pregnant wife for Instagram model was splashed across every gossip blog and entertainment news show. The comments were brutal. Half the people called me a gold digger who got what I deserved. The other half pitied me as another naive woman who thought she could change a man. Both narratives made me sick. I moved out of the penthouse and into a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. The same week I moved, I saw photos of Brandon and Brittany at some charity gala, her wearing a dress that cost more than most people's cars, him looking happier than I'd seen him in months. But here's where the story gets interesting. Because while Brandon was playing house with his new toy, I was dealing with something much bigger than a broken heart. 2 weeks after I moved out, I was going through some of my grandmother's old documents that my mother had given me years ago. I'd never really looked through them carefully. Life had been too busy, too good, too comfortable to worry about family history. But with nothing but time on my hands and a baby coming, I decided to finally go through the box. At the bottom, wrapped in a faded cloth, was a handwritten letter from my great-great-grandmother to my great-great-grandfather, dated 1924. She was writing to him about some land purchases he'd made in Texas and California, talking about oil rights and mineral deposits like they were common knowledge. I'd never heard any family stories about land or oil. As far as I knew, we were generational working class, paycheck to paycheck, people who did what they had to do to survive. But the letter was detailed, specific. It mentioned property deeds, legal documents, and something about a trust that would mature in 100 years. 100 years from 1924 would be 2024, this year. Now, I'm not superstitious, but timing felt significant. I decided to hire a genealogist and a team of lawyers to investigate. With my settlement money, I could afford to be thorough. And honestly, I needed something to focus on, besides my failing marriage and impending single motherhood. What they found changed everything. My great-great-grandfather, Robert Thompson, hadn't just bought land randomly. He'd been strategic, methodical, and incredibly lucky. The property in Texas, it was sitting on top of one of the largest oil reserves in the state. The land in California, prime real estate that was now worth billions due to tech development in the area. But that wasn't all. Robert had also been an early investor in several companies that eventually became major corporations. He'd bought stocks in the 1920s and held them through the Great Depression, through World War II, through every market crash and boom for the past 100 years. Those investments had been sitting in a trust, growing, compounding, waiting for the right descendant to claim them. The lawyers explained that the trust had specific requirements. The heir had to be a direct descendant, had to be at least 25 years old, and had to actively seek out the inheritance. It wouldn't just be handed over automatically. As they laid out the numbers, I felt like I was in a dream. The oil rights alone were worth over $1 billion. The real estate holdings? Another billion and change. The stock portfolio? 800 million and growing. Total value? $3.1 billion. I was sitting in a law office in downtown Brooklyn, 7 months pregnant, abandoned by my husband. And I'd just learned I was worth more than 4 times what he was. The irony was so thick I could taste it. But I didn't tell anyone, not yet. I needed time to process, to plan, to figure out how I wanted to handle this information. Part of me wanted to call Brandon immediately and rub his face in it. But a bigger part of me knew that revenge was a dish best served cold. I gave birth to Luna in February, 8 pounds, 2 ounces of pure perfection, with her father's dimples and my stubborn streak. Brandon didn't even send flowers. He was too busy posting pictures of his vacation with Brittany in the Maldives. While I was recovering from childbirth, my legal team was finalizing all the paperwork for my inheritance. The day I brought Luna home from the hospital, I officially became a billionaire. The news broke 3 weeks later. Some journalist had been digging into public records and noticed the massive transfer of assets to my name. By the time I woke up that Thursday morning, divorced gold digger, revealed as secret billionaire, was trending on every social media platform. My phone started ringing at 6 a.m. and didn't stop for 3 days. Brandon called me 47 times that first day alone. 47. I know because I counted each one as I sent it to voicemail. His text messages were even more pathetic. Alicia, we need to talk. I know I made mistakes. We can work this out. Luna deserves to have both her parents together. I never stopped loving you. That last one made me laugh so hard, I nearly woke up the baby. The real entertainment started when he showed up at my apartment unannounced. I was in my pajamas, hadn't combed my hair, and was surviving on maybe 3 hours of sleep. But when I looked through the peephole and saw Brandon standing there with flowers and a gift bag, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. Alicia, he started, and I could see him trying to charm me the way he used to. You look beautiful. Motherhood suits you. What do you want, Brandon? I want to apologize. I want to explain. I want to fix this. Fix what, exactly? Our marriage, because last time I checked, you threw divorce papers at me while I was pregnant and called me a gold digger. Oh, and then you moved your girlfriend into what used to be our home. He had the decency to look ashamed, but not enough to actually feel it. I was confused, scared. The responsibility of becoming a father, the pressure from work, it all got to me. But seeing you in the news, seeing how successful you are, it made me realize what I lost. What I am, I corrected. Not what I lost. What I've always been. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy looking down on me. That's not fair. Fair? I shifted Luna to my other arm and really looked at him. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you supporting your pregnant wife instead of cheating on her. Fair would have been you being there when your daughter was born instead of posting vacation pictures with your mistress. Fair would have been you seeing my worth before Forbes magazine told you what it was. He tried to step closer, but I didn't move aside. I know I hurt you, but we can get past this. We're family now. Luna needs both of us. Luna needs a father who values her mother. She needs to see what a healthy relationship looks like. She needs to know that love isn't conditional on net worth or social status. I can be that father. I can be that husband. Give me another chance. I looked at this man who had been my everything just a year ago, who had reduced me to tears and self-doubt, who had made me question my worth and my place in his world. And I felt nothing but pity. Brandon, you had your chance. You had 3 years of chances. You had a chance to love me when I was just a marketing executive from Detroit. You had a chance to support me when I was carrying your child. You had a chance to be a man instead of a coward. You chose Brittany. That's over. I ended things with her. Because you found out I have money. Not because you realized you loved me. Not because you missed our family. Because $3 billion is more attractive than whatever she was offering. The truth hit him like a physical blow, and I watched his face change. The charm fell away. And underneath was the same calculating look I'd seen the night I told him I was pregnant. So what? You're just going to keep my daughter from me. Use your money to turn her against me. I'm not going to keep Luna from you. You're her father, and she deserves to know you. But you and I, we're done. The divorce papers you were so eager to serve me with are final, Brandon. There's no going back. I closed the door while he was still standing there, mouth open, trying to find words that would change my mind. But here's the thing about power. Once you really understand you have it, you stop looking for permission to use it. With my new financial freedom, I started the Thompson Foundation, focused on supporting single mothers and their children. I bought property in Detroit to create affordable housing in my old neighborhood. I invested in small businesses owned by women of color, and then I made my favorite purchase of all, the building where Brandon's company had their headquarters. He'd been renting those floors for 5 years. Now he was renting them from me. The day I became his landlord, I sent him a fruit basket with a note. Welcome to the building. Rent is due on the 1st of every month. Late fees apply. I heard through mutual contacts that Brandon's business started struggling after our divorce. Turns out, I'd been more than just a wife to him. I'd been his sounding board, his emotional support, his reality check. Without that foundation, he started making poor decisions, and his company's stock price reflected it. Meanwhile, Brittany left him for a cryptocurrency mogul with a younger face and a bigger bank account. The same Instagram story that revealed their affair eventually revealed their breakup, with her posting cryptic quotes about knowing your worth and upgrading your life. The media narrative shifted completely once my financial status became public. Suddenly, I wasn't the naive wife who got played. I was the brilliant businesswoman who kept her assets private. Articles praised my humble approach to wealth and my focus on family and philanthropy. Brandon went from being the smart businessman who traded up to being the fool who gave up a billionaire for an influencer. The best part, I didn't have to lift a finger to destroy his reputation. He did that all by himself. Luna is 18 months old now, and she's the light of my life. She's curious, fearless, and has a laugh that could power the entire city. Brandon sees her twice a week, and I've never said a negative word about him in front of her. But I also never pretend that what he did was acceptable. People ask me all the time if I would take him back, if I think we could work things out for Luna's sake. The answer is simple. I don't build my life around people who only see my value when it's profitable for them. I learned that love without respect is just possession. I learned that someone who leaves you when you're vulnerable will leave you again when it's convenient. I learned that my worth was never tied to his opinion of me. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the universe pushing you towards something better. Brandon thought he was trading up when he chose Brittany over me, but the truth is, he never deserved what we could have built together. He saw my pregnancy as a trap instead of a gift. He saw my love as neediness instead of strength. He saw my background as something to overcome instead of something to celebrate. The $3 billion didn't make me worthy of love and respect. I always was. The money just made it impossible for anyone to pretend otherwise. And Luna? She's growing up knowing that her mother is powerful, independent, and capable of anything. She's learning that real wealth isn't just about money. It's about knowing your value and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. As for Brandon, the last I heard, he was dating a law student who thinks his $800 million company is impressive. I genuinely hope he's learned something from losing the best thing that ever happened to him. But honestly, that's not my problem anymore. My problem is deciding which college fund to establish next. which community to invest in, and how to raise a daughter who knows she comes from a long line of strong women who refuse to accept anything less than extraordinary. Sometimes the people who underestimate you end up being their own worst enemies. If this story showed you that your worth isn't defined by how others treat you, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about women who turn their pain into power. And remember, never let anyone dim your light, because you never know when it might blind them.